Hey guys! Welcome to day one of Inktober. Um, if you're on my Patreon, you already know what's kind of happening. I've got this big elaborate plan where, one, I'm doing everything digitally, as you can see, and two, I'm going to be trying to tell a story with the official Inktober prompts. No words, but like just illustrative, I guess. So here, I've already got the sketch going on. So this video is really just going to be me doing the actual inking using Photoshop and one of Kyle Brush's manga pens. I'm not sure which one exactly it is, but I know it's in the manga pack. So yeah. Here the prompt was poisonous, and I decided to go with she's got a rash now because she bumped up against like a poisonous plant or something while she's out hiking. Yeah, so what to talk about, I guess. How are you guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah. Let me know if you're doing Inktober and what you're doing for this year. There's actually been a bit of discussion this year, more than most I've noticed, about like whether to even do Inktober or not. Like this is my 5th year doing Inktober. I've won once, I think. Well, maybe 2 times I've actually completed all 31 days. But there's been more discussion, I feel, that I've noticed anyway, this year more than most, about like, I guess people stressing like you don't have to do Inktober if it's going to stress you out, like if it's going to burn you out, whatever, don't feel pressured into doing it, and all that. Same with NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. I've been seeing a lot more like pushback, I guess. And maybe pushback's not the best word, but I guess like a lot of people feel pressured to do Inktober and NaNoWriMo, so now there's just a lot of like, don't feel pressured, you know, if you only do 2 or 3, it's fine. Whereas in past years, I didn't really see that as much, so that's been happening. Here, I briefly thought about like just doing shapes for the trees, but I really didn't like how it looked, and I don't know, I don't know how to get like that traditional kind of ink brush, ink painting look in Photoshop. Maybe I just haven't found the right brush or settings or whatever, but I decided to just manually draw everything out. So that's what I'm doing. So everything's split up into layers, as you can probably see. The 2 girls are on different layers, the trunk is on a different layer, these trees are going to be on different layers, and yeah, I wanted to be able to change things up and like adjust line weight and all that if I wanted to, and color in whites over things and all that too. So our setting is kind of this wooded forest. I didn't want there to be like a specific trail, but you know, sometimes there's just kind of trails anyways, so it's kind of how it looks. Yeah, I think I'm taking like a break here, but anyways, I figured out the story for everything before October. My initial plan was to sketch everything out. That way all I would worry about is the inking, but that just never happened. So fortunately I have my bullet list of the prompts and what happens, so at least I know what happens. But yeah, this took like 2 hours just to ink, like an hour to sketch. So we'll see if I can actually keep this up or not. But if not, I can just, you know, be like, whatever, I'm not stressing. It's just Inktober. Now that it's fashionable to not stress about these things now, which is honestly a good thing. So I'm just going in with the foreground stuff now. Going in with a heavier line weight since it is closer to us, so it will appear more outlined than stuff in the back. Just because things that are thicker will appear closer to us and things that are thinner will appear farther away. So you can see here that kind of depth right now. The stuff in the foreground is really in the foreground, the stuff in the background is like way back there. So now I've got everything inked, so I'm just going in with additional line weight so that it's a bit more varied, a bit more interesting. Starting with the leaves and such first, and then gonna go in working with the other background materials. Whew, this video is 10 minutes long. How am I going to talk this entire time? Yeah, so here I'm coloring in the white so that, you know, so that it stands out and you can't see the stuff behind. And rather than just erasing the tree trunks, I had another layer where I painted in white over it. So kind of like a little hack, I guess, if you're not as familiar with digital painting. Now for the middle ground, here I'm cleaning it up, like using the same technique I just said, and I'll be going back over it with a brush to not make it as thick as the stuff in the very foreground, but to still differentiate it from like the background stuff. So I don't want it to be like too soft. They're not that far behind. Some plants, little things over here. Just not, I don't want it to look too prominent again, but still want it to stick out a bit. So my idea kind of revolves around these two little witches. I don't know how old they are or whatever. I don't even know if they're sisters, but they're two girls who look very similar, so maybe they are sisters, and they're both little witches, and they're just going on a hike, and then shenanigans ensue. You can take a look at the official Inktober prompts and try to imagine where the story might go. It definitely took me a bit to figure out what I wanted to do. I actually read yesterday something about how limitations improve creativity. Like, I guess it goes into, you know, some people will say, oh, I didn't know what to do, you know, there weren't any boundaries, like the sky was a limit and I just got so, you know, stuck or whatever. And you see that a lot in those competition shows or whatever, where the prompt is like, do anything you want. Or I'm sure even maybe you've been in a situation where you had a project and the prompt was whatever you wanted, right? And maybe some people know exactly what they want to do, but other people are like, oh my God, the possibilities are endless. What do I pick? So I guess that's where the quote is coming from. Sometimes the limitations will create more creativity because you know what your parameters are, so you know what to stretch and what not to stretch and how to be creative within those parameters. So for the Inktober prompts, it kind of felt like that. Like, I knew that the story had to, if I wanted to use those prompts, had to relate to those prompts, but they were all so seemingly random, like a word generator, that it was a little difficult to figure out what to do. But I figured something out. It's not Shakespeare or anything, but I think it still gets the job done. And I think it'll make for a cute story if I can keep up with everything. So here I'm doing the background girl, trying to figure out my shading. I think I just ended up tossing it. Just kept it how it was. Didn't do anything too much. Actually, I'm still not sure whether I like the cross-hatching I did with the hat or not. A part of me kind of wishes I didn't do so much cross-hatching and just left everything like just black and white without those itty-bitty details, but a part of me also likes it. It's not super consistent, which I know, but I was just going for like what would be visually interesting. So here I'm just outlining the girl in the front. Just adding a bit more definition and line weight to her. And you'll notice too, maybe when I was talking in the background, that I kind of just fiddled around with all that, just to kind of show that there's something in the forest behind all of them. So just fixing stuff up, giving her that nice outline to really set her apart from the background with a little bit of cross-hatching. And just really adding some finishing touches, a little hint of lighting without going too much into it. And yeah, so you can pretty much see the final product coming up. Oh, here I did color in a little bit some of the leaves in the front, just to kind of show, you know, these in the foreground, because technically things in the foreground are supposed to be darker than things in the background. Here's the finished image. You can see the attempt at creating depth in the background of those trees, like I was saying. There's no real details in there. I just wanted to indicate some sort of continuing forest. Maybe could have done a better job at it, but for what it is, I think it's okay. I just didn't want it to look like there were only those 4 tree trunks. So that was just a lot of random cross-hatching, as you saw in the video. And other than that, yeah, I like how it looks. A part of me still wonders if I should have made the stuff in the foreground a bit darker. There's still lots of things to change, but I think the main thing I thought in my head was I do plan on going back and coloring this maybe in the future, or at least going in with some gray and adding in more values. But for now, I just wanted to stick with just black and white, work on that, and then maybe put in the gray stuff after. But yeah, this is the finished first image with the prompt poisonous. My crazy ambitious self is saying that I'm going to try to post these videos every day after I do them. Sometimes I will be live streaming these. I just haven't figured out the setup for that, but I will be live streaming them, so be on the lookout for that. I'll make an announcement on my Facebook page and Twitter and all that. And yeah, hope you enjoyed watching the process. Let me know what you guys ended up doing for your Inktober day 1, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Bye!